Whew. Hey guys. um, Gosh, it's like this one. I wanted it to be quick because I'm having problems getting it out. Um, but whew. Okay, I think I'm gonna start it out like this. In the summer of 2021, I believe. Um, One afternoon, the sheriff's department here received a call that a little 3-year-old girl had gone on a walk with her grandmother. They lived out on a dirt road. They lived out in the country, in the country, out in the woods, way out in the country. And that the grandmother had gotten, something had grabbed her attention. And when she looked back up, her little granddaughter was gone. And so was the dog. And so she called for her and she called for her and she looked all over the best that she could. And then she just ran to the house and called 911. And for 3 nights, the dog, hold up, the next day, after having searchers out all night long, the dog showed back up at the family home. We kept looking for her. And all of us just, it was getting so bad because this was summertime. It was hot. I mean, and this was out in the woods. We're talking about, yeah, animals, snakes, lots of poisonous snakes out there. Even big cats, bobcats, things of that nature. On top of the fact that this is a 3-year-old little girl, long red hair, just beautiful little girl. And, but every day that we didn't find her, it was like this dread of, what are we going to find? And then when the dog came back, and we just knew that something, we weren't going to find her. So on the 4th day, we knew something had happened because all of a sudden there was yelling. There was more emergency vehicles coming up from the staging area, and holy shit, our sheriff stopped right there where everybody was staged, and one of the girls hollered out, and the other reporters hollered out, Sheriff Jones, did they find her? And he stopped and he just turned around real slow and he said, yeah, we found her. And we didn't know what to say, and it was like a minute went by and he didn't say anything and we didn't say anything, and finally she said, well, is she alive? And he looked at us, and he turned his head for a minute, and then he turned back and looked at us, and with this biggest grin on his face. And he said, "Yeah, she's fine." And we said, "What?" And we hit the ground. "What? She's fine?" She was. um, she just got lost in the woods. She told about her adventure in the woods and how, I mean, she told her mom, "Mommy, I stayed in the woods all by myself for 3 nights." And she talked about how the dog was with her at first and how she found a creek and how there was a slide on the creek, which was probably, rocks and everything. And she said that she slid down the creek and that's how her pants got torn. And she talked about how the dog slung a snake away from her. That the dog found that there was a snake, and the dog grabbed the snake and shook the snake like this. And she said that after she went down the slide in the water, that she didn't know where the dog went after that. And that must have been when the dog went home. But this little 3-year-old girl held her own out in the woods, the deep woods of Alabama, by herself for 3 nights, and came out talking like a champ. So what this video is about, I'm sorry, my shoulder. Jayden Spicer. This is how I'm gonna have to make it quick, because you have to remember the good things when you do things like this. You have to remember the good things, because not everything there's so much bad. You have to remember the good stuff. And that was just the one good thing that was close to this story. Because unfortunately, Jayden didn't go in the woods on his own. He was placed there by his mother. And a grand jury on Monday indicted her on murder charges. They upped it to murder. And I applaud them. Not only that, they also indicted her husband, Josh Gross, with complicity to commit murder, complicity to file a false police report, abuse of a corpse, complicity to interfere with witnesses, 2 counts, and complicity tampering with evidence. They are both in, hold on, let me look at the book. I had to write all this stuff down. I couldn't remember it all. I mean, I'm just like, this is bad. It's been a hard week for me, okay? They're in the Kentucky River Regional Jail. Both of them have a $1 million bond, which I know they won't make, and they don't deserve to make. They need to sit there. They deserve everything that's coming to them. So we don't know everything yet. Obviously, there were some things that were found out, after the autopsy. But she's been indicted on murder. We all couldn't understand, But as a mother, though, you wanted to believe. As a mother, you never want to actually believe that there are mothers out there that could do these horrible things to their kids, right? But there are. I mean, it's just the reality of it. And yeah, she's got murdered. She deserves it. They have not released any other information except for his funeral will be Thursday at 2 p.m. at Breathitt Funeral Home. There had been a fund set up by a, I don't know if it was a preacher or a priest there in town. And the fund that he set up was originally for information leading to, him being found and all that. Since it ended the way that it did, though, he took that money, and there is a company called SoulShine, and they do custom caskets. And he used that money to get a custom casket for Jayden. Jayden's casket is Spider-Man themed casket, and it has his name on it. The rest of the money is going towards the plot, the vault, preparation of the site itself, and what's left going towards the headstone. Um, the director at Brickett Funeral Home is covering all the costs of the preparation and the funeral and all that. They want to be sure to make sure that when Jayden looks down here, that he knows that he's being taken care of now, and not just like a pocket box. Yeah, Felicia Gross and Josh Gross, I hope that you had the life that you deserve in prison, because, yeah, you're pieces of shit. Um, and what gets me even worse is that, she went and spread of the Hatfield McCoy Museum Adventures channel. Um, they actually went out to Josh and Felicia's house, and they were looking around to see if they could find Jayden. And Josh and Felicia actually came up, and they talked to him, and they had the good sense to record part of the conversation. And they asked them, well, is Jayden in school? Because they were thinking, if Jayden had run away, maybe he was being bullied in school or something like that, and that would explain things. And Josh told them that no, he wasn't going to school because he wasn't being allowed to go to school because he, and I quote, he attempted to stab another child with a pencil. So that sack of shit. Lied on this little boy. He knew that Jayden wasn't going to school. That's not why Jayden wasn't in school. Jayden wasn't going to school because you buried him in a bucket out in the woods. And then you're going to say, that he was a bad kid and that he tried to stab a kid. You know what? Mm, yeah, you're a sack of crap, both of you. But that's okay, because there are people. It's like, the Commonwealth Attorney said the night that he was found. Now Jayden's in the hands of people who love him and who are taking care of him, and that's exactly what's happening. But I just wanted to get on here and update that, because they got her. They got her. Sometimes you have to give law enforcement time. Sometimes we all, and especially in this day and age, are, we all want that instant gratification, right? Instant gratification. We're all guilty of it. And it comes in our, when we have, crimes that we want solved too. I mean, we want to know right now. But sometimes we have to give law enforcement time and give our coroners time and all those that are putting everything together, because if it's not putting together the right way, um, that's when people slip through the system and end up not being in jail when they should be. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I just had to, like, it's hard getting this one out. This is just really hard. Um, And so I did. I had to take myself back to remembering the good stuff. Um, to remembering the good stuff because it's not always. It's unfortunately when you do things like this, more often you're talking about that than you're good. But every once in a while, you get that golden nugget, I guess. But that's it, guys. I just want to let y'all know that and rest in peace, Jayden. And I hope that you can see that you're being taken care of. All right, guys. Y'all have fun out there. And please be safe. And always know that you're loved. And know that I love you all more than you know. Love you guys.